When you start focusing on yourself, truly focusing, not in a selfish way, but in a way that demands self-respect, you begin to see just how much energy you've wasted on things that never really mattered. You begin to realize how much of your time has been spent worrying about what other people think, seeking approval, chasing validation, and trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. And the truth is, most people don't even think about you as much as you think they do. They're too busy wrapped up in their own lives, just like you are. So why waste your energy living according to someone else's expectations? The moment you shift your energy inward instead of outward, everything changes. It's as if you've been walking through life carrying a heavy backpack filled with unnecessary weights. Other people's opinions, past rejections, disappointments, the fear of being judged. And suddenly, you decide to drop it all. Do you know how freeing that is? When you stop trying to prove yourself to people who don't even care, when you stop chasing approval from those who would never give it willingly, when you stop making decisions based on how you might be perceived rather than what you actually want, something remarkable happens. You reclaim your mind. You reclaim your time. You reclaim... And that's when growth begins. Real, undeniable, powerful growth, because instead of scattering your focus in 100 different directions, hoping someone notices your efforts, hoping you can hold on to relationships that are slipping away, hoping to fit in where you were never meant to belong, you start investing in yourself. You start putting in the work. You start developing skills, improving your mindset, taking care of your body, pursuing your goals, and building something real. That's when you go from being a person waiting for life to happen to a person who makes things happen. People often get stuck in this loop of external validation, constantly seeking approval, constantly needing reassurance. They post something online and check every few minutes to see how many likes they got. They hesitate to speak up because they're afraid of being criticized. They hold back on their ambitions because they don't want to be judged for failing. But the reality is, nobody who ever achieved anything great spent their time worrying about what the crowd thought of them. Do you think the most successful, most influential people in history stopped to ask for permission? Do you think they held back because they were afraid someone might not like them? No, they focused, they built, they grew, they became undeniable. And that's the key. You have to become undeniable. You have to become so committed to your growth, so focused on your progress, that the noise of the outside world becomes just that, noise. You don't let the opinions of people who don't even know you dictate your path. You don't let temporary emotions steer you off course. You don't allow yourself to be distracted by people who wouldn't care if you failed. Instead, you double down on yourself. You read, you learn, you work, you improve, you push forward every single day, regardless of whether anyone claps for you or not. Because the moment you stop needing external validation is the moment you become truly unstoppable. And yes, there will be people who don't understand. There will be people who feel threatened by your growth because it reminds them of their stagnation. There will be people who try to pull you back down, who mock your efforts, who question your choices. Let them doubt, let them talk, let them go. It's not your job to convince them. It's not your responsibility to make them see your vision. Your only responsibility is to keep moving forward. Because when you do, when you commit fully to focusing on yourself, when you embrace your own potential, when you stop letting fear, doubt, and the opinions of others dictate your actions, you become something rare. You become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about change, but embodies it. You become the kind of person who commands respect, not by demanding it, but by earning it. You become the kind of person who, years from now, looks back and realizes that every single sacrifice, every single moment of solitude, every single challenge was worth it. And by then, you won't even be thinking about the people who doubted you, because you'll be too busy living the life they never thought you could have. There comes a point where you have to ask yourself, is this connection helping me grow, or is it holding me back? Because the truth is, not everyone in your life is meant to stay. Some people come into your life for a season, to teach you something, to challenge you, or even to show you exactly what you need to let go of. But if you hold on too tightly to relationships that no longer serve you, if you refuse to let go of people who bring you down, you risk sacrificing your own growth just to keep them around, and that is a dangerous place to be. You've probably felt it before, the exhaustion of trying to maintain relationships that drain you, the frustration of constantly explaining yourself to people who don't even try to understand you, the disappointment of hoping someone will change only to realize that they never do. And yet, you hold on, maybe out of loyalty, maybe out of fear, maybe because the idea of walking away feels too painful. But here's the thing, the longer you hold on to what's toxic, the more you poison yourself. Some people will never support your growth because it reminds them of their stagnation. They see you changing, evolving, becoming more disciplined, more ambitious, more self-aware. And instead of celebrating you, they try to pull you back down. They mock your efforts. They discourage your dreams. They make you feel guilty for wanting more. And if you're not careful, you start listening to them. You start doubting yourself. You start shrinking just to make them comfortable. But you were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to dim your light just so others don't feel insecure. Letting go of toxic attachments isn't just about cutting people off. It's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that not every friendship, not every relationship, not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people are only meant to be part of your journey for a chapter. And when that chapter ends, you have to be willing to turn the page. That doesn't mean you hold resentment. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It simply means you acknowledge that you're on different paths now, and that's okay. And yes, it will be hard. It will be uncomfortable. There will be moments where you second-guess yourself, where you wonder if you made the right choice, where the silence feels louder than the toxicity you walked away from. But do you know what's even harder? Staying in a situation that is slowly destroying you. Staying in a space where you are not valued. Staying in a cycle that steals your peace, your energy, and your potential. People who genuinely care about you will want to see you grow. They will support your evolution, even if it means you outgrow them. But the ones who try to hold you back, who guilt trip you for changing, who make you feel like you have to choose between your future and their comfort, those are the people you need to walk away from. Because if you don't, you'll look back years from now and realize that you wasted precious time trying to save relationships that were never meant to be saved. Growth is painful. Change is uncomfortable. But do you know what's worse? Waking up one day and realizing that you never became who you were meant to be because you were too afraid to let go. Life is too short to keep people around who make you feel small, who belittle your ambitions, who drain your energy. You have to make peace with walking away. You have to make peace with being misunderstood. You have to make peace with knowing that not everyone will come with you to the next level. And that's okay, because the people who are meant to be in your life, the ones who truly matter, will never require you to shrink yourself just to stay in their presence. There's a moment in life when you have to accept a simple but uncomfortable truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you a perfect life. No one is going to walk your path for you. The responsibility is yours and yours alone. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you can start building something meaningful on your terms, at your pace, in your own way. But too many people get stuck waiting for approval, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for someone to give them permission to chase what they want. But life doesn't work like that. If you sit around waiting for external validation before you take action, you'll waste years, decades even. Because the truth is, no one truly understands your vision the way you do. No one feels that fire inside you like you do. And if you keep looking to others to tell you that you're on the right path, you'll never move forward. Because most people can't see beyond their own limitations, let alone encourage you to go beyond yours. It's easy to look around and compare yourself to others, to see people who seem to have it all figured out and wonder why you're still struggling. But comparison is a trap, and worse, it's a distraction. You are not here to live someone else's timeline. You are not here to meet someone else's expectations. You are here to become the best version of yourself in your own way, at your own speed. And that means letting go of the pressure to keep up with anyone else. Some people will reach success early, some will take longer. Some will figure out their purpose in their 20s, others in their 40s, 50s, or beyond. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep moving forward, that you stay focused on your own path without getting caught up in where someone else is on theirs. Because no two journeys are the same, and trying to force yourself into someone else's blueprint is the fastest way to lose sight of who you really are. And yet, so many people do exactly that. They let the expectations of family, friends, society dictate their choices. They pursue careers they don't love because it looks good on paper. They stay in relationships that don't fulfill them because it's what they think they should do. They silence their real passions because they're afraid of judgment. And years later, they wake up feeling lost, disconnected from themselves, wondering where they went wrong. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to live by someone else's script. You don't have to explain yourself to people who don't understand your vision. And you certainly don't have to follow a path that doesn't feel right just because it's what's expected of you. The only real expectation you should have is this: to be better than you were yesterday. That's it. To challenge yourself, to improve, to learn, to grow. Not to live up to someone else's definition of success, but to define success for yourself. And yes, that means walking alone sometimes. It means making decisions that others won't understand. It means standing firm in your choices even when people doubt you. But that's the price of true independence. That's the price of building something real. And if you're not willing to pay it, you'll spend your life trapped in a version of yourself that was never meant for you. There will be times when you question yourself, when doubt creeps in, when you wonder if you're making the right choices. And that's normal. Growth isn't a straight line. It's messy, it's uncomfortable. But discomfort is necessary. Because every time you push through it, every time you trust yourself instead of looking for answers outside of you, you build something more valuable than success. You build self-respect. And that is what will carry you forward. Not luck, not handouts, not the opinions of others. Just you deciding every single day that you will stay the course no matter what. Because at the end of it all, no one else has to live with your choices but you. No one else has to wake up and face your life but you. So make sure the life you're building is one that actually belongs to you. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you have. It fuels your ambition, your discipline, your ability to think clearly and make good decisions. But most people don't realize how easily it gets drained, not just by work, not just by responsibilities, but by people, by distractions, by unnecessary battles that were never worth fighting in the first place. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life exhausted, pulled in 100 different directions, constantly wondering why you never have the focus, the drive, or the motivation to push forward. You have to protect your energy the way you would protect something rare and irreplaceable. Because that's exactly what it is. Every interaction, every conversation, every relationship you invest in is either adding to your energy or taking from it. And if you're surrounded by people who drain you, people who bring negativity, who waste your time, who fill your mind with doubt and distraction, you will never have the strength to build the life you want. Not because you're incapable, not because you're not smart enough or disciplined enough, but because you've let the wrong things consume you. There are people who will leave you feeling empty every time you talk to them. They complain, they gossip, they focus on problems instead of solutions. And the more time you spend with them, the more you start to absorb that energy. You start thinking like them, acting like them, seeing the world through the same lens of limitation and frustration. And before you know it, you're operating at half capacity, too weighed down by negativity to chase your own goals. That is why you need to be ruthless with what you allow into your life. It's not just about cutting out toxic people, it's about being mindful of where your attention goes. Social media, meaningless arguments, constant noise from the outside world. These things rob you of the mental space you need to create something real. Every time you engage in a pointless debate, every time you scroll mindlessly for hours, every time you let other people's opinions dictate your mood, you are giving away energy that could have been spent on something productive. And most people don't even realize they're doing it. They wonder why they feel tired, unmotivated, uninspired, but they never stop to look at where their energy is being wasted. You cannot afford to let the wrong things drain you. If you want to build something meaningful, if you want to achieve real success, if you want to wake up every day with a sense of purpose, you need to start guarding your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The people you surround yourself with matter. The conversations you engage in matter. The things you give your time and attention to, those things are shaping you whether you realize it or not. And if you're not careful, you'll become someone you never intended to be, simply because you let the wrong influences take up too much space in your life. There is nothing selfish about protecting your peace. There is nothing wrong with saying no to things that don't serve you. In fact, it's one of the most important skills you can develop. Because every time you choose to walk away from negativity, every time you decide not to waste your energy on things that don't matter, you are creating space for the things that do. You are giving yourself the chance to focus, to grow, to build, to move forward without constantly being pulled backward. And that is how you win. Not by fighting every battle, not by trying to fix people who don't want to change, not by engaging in every argument just to prove a point. You win by staying focused, by keeping your mind clear, by refusing to let distractions take you off course, because once you learn to control your energy, once you become intentional about where you invest it, there is nothing that can stop you. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And you don't build it by waiting for the world to tell you you're good enough. You build it by proving to yourself that you are every single day, through your actions, through your discipline, through the choices you make when no one is watching. Most people misunderstand confidence. They think it's about walking into a room and acting like you own the place. They think it's about speaking louder, standing taller, demanding attention. But that's not confidence. That's theater. True confidence isn't loud. It's not performative. It's not built on trying to convince other people that you're important. True confidence comes from competence. It comes from knowing deep in your bones that you can handle whatever life throws at you. And the only way to get there is by doing the work. People think they can trick themselves into confidence, that they can just fake it till they make it. But deep down, you can't lie to yourself. You know whether or not you've put in the effort. You know whether or not you've prepared. And when you know you haven't, that doubt lingers beneath the surface. It eats away at you. It makes you hesitant, unsure. That's why real confidence is earned. You don't get to skip the process. You get to just wake up one day feeling unstoppable. You have to become unstoppable. And that requires discipline. Discipline is what separates people who have real confidence from those who are just pretending. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, when you say you're going to do something and actually do it, you develop an inner strength that can't be shaken. You start to trust yourself. And that trust is the foundation of everything. Because if you don't trust yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Most people's confidence is fragile because it's built on external validation. It's built on applause, on approval, on the opinions of others. But the second that validation disappears, they crumble. That's because they were never truly confident to begin with. They were just borrowing confidence from outside sources. But when your confidence is internal, when it's rooted in the work you've done, the skills you've developed, the challenges you've overcome, then nothing can take it from you. And that's what makes a person truly unshakable. Not arrogance, not blind self-belief, but the quiet, unrelenting knowledge that they've earned the right to be where they are. They've fought for it. They've sacrificed for it. They've proven it to themselves over and over again. And when you've done that, you don't need anyone else to tell you you're capable. You already know. This is why you must stop seeking confidence in external things. Stop looking for it in titles and possessions and social media likes. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission to believe in yourself. Because if you need the world's permission to feel worthy, you will always be at its mercy. Your confidence will rise and fall based on circumstances you can't control. And that is no way to live. So instead, put in the work. Do the hard things. Face the discomfort. Push through the resistance. Develop the discipline to show up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. That's how confidence is built. Not overnight, not through empty affirmations, but through relentless, consistent action. And one day you'll wake up and realize that you don't question yourself anymore, that you don't hesitate, that you don't need to be reassured by anyone else, because you've already proven to yourself, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you are more than capable. And once you reach that point, no one and nothing can take that away from you. There will always be people who doubt you. People who mock your ambitions, who belittle your efforts, who act as if you're foolish for wanting more out of life. Some will do it because they don't understand you. Others will do it because they feel threatened by your growth. And some will do it simply because they don't believe in themselves, so they project that same disbelief onto you. But here's the truth. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them an argument. You don't owe them proof. The only thing you owe yourself is to keep going. You see, most people make the mistake of trying to convince others that they're capable. They waste time explaining their vision, defending their choices, trying to gain approval from people who were never going to support them in the first place. But all of that energy is misplaced. Because at the end of the day, the loudest response, the most undeniable proof, isn't words. Success is the best response. Not anger, not frustration, not trying to change people's minds, just success. When you put your head down and do the work, when you commit to your goals with everything you have, when you improve yourself every single day, not for validation, not for revenge, but simply because you refuse to settle, eventually your results speak for themselves. And suddenly, the people who doubted you have nothing left to say. That's the power of focus. When you stop wasting energy on what others think and redirect it toward what actually matters, everything changes. You stop getting caught up in petty battles. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who don't even matter in the long run. Instead, you channel every ounce of effort into becoming undeniable, into building something so real, so strong, so successful that no one can ignore it. And make no mistake, there will be setbacks. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, when the voices of doubt creep in, when it would be easier to just give up. But that's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. The ones who succeed aren't the ones who never struggled. They're the ones who kept going despite it. They're the ones who didn't let failure define them, who didn't let criticism stop them, who didn't let the opinions of people sitting on the sidelines dictate their path. Because at the end of the day, the people who judge you, who mock you, who look down on you, they're not the ones living your life. They don't wake up in your shoes. They don't carry your responsibilities. They don't have to live with the consequences of your choices. You do. And that means their opinions don't matter. Their doubt doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is whether or not you have the discipline, the resilience, and the vision to see things through. So, let them doubt, let them talk, let them misunderstand you. None of it changes the fact that the only real response is progress, that the only way to silence the noise is through action. And that the greatest revenge, not just against doubters, but against every obstacle, every hardship, every challenge, is undeniable success. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. You have one life, and it's yours to live. No one else will walk your path for you. No one else will bear the weight of your regrets. No one else will be responsible for the person you become. So focus on yourself. Let go of the people and things that drain you. Protect your energy. Trust your own journey, even when it doesn't make sense to others. Build unshakable confidence by proving to yourself day after day that you are capable. And when the world doubts you, don't argue. Just keep moving forward. Because the best response, the only response that truly matters, is success. Not for anyone else, not to prove a point, but because you owe it to yourself to become everything you were meant to be.